There's a $6 bottle of liquid at almost every pottery supply store that foundry workers have used for over 100 years to do something most people have never seen. Pour sand into a mold, blow a little gas over it, and watch it turn solid in under a minute. No cement truck, no kiln, no 24-hour cure time. Just sand, a syrupy liquid called sodium silicate, and a puff of carbon dioxide. Most people's experience with making something solid starts and ends with a bag of Quikrete. You mix it, you wait a day, maybe two, and if the weather's bad or the ratio's off, you get cracks. It's heavy, it's slow, and if you just need a small mold, a garden edge, or a mold-making project, buying and mixing an entire bag of concrete feels like overkill. There's a lighter, faster, older piece of chemistry, sitting mostly forgotten in industrial catalogs that can do a version of this job. Just not the version some corners of the internet like to claim. That liquid is sodium silicate, also called water glass. It isn't some suppressed secret. It's actually one of the oldest industrial chemicals still in daily use. Foundries have run on it for generations, and chemists have known how it works since the early 1800s. What's interesting isn't that it's hidden, it's that almost nobody outside a handful of industries has ever heard of it, even though the chemistry is dead simple and the material has been sitting in plain sight the entire time. A German chemist named Johann Nepomuk von Fuchs first described the reaction in 1818. Dissolve silica in an alkaline solution, and you get something that hardens into a glass-like solid as the water leaves it. Through the 1800s, people found all kinds of uses for it. Fireproofing paper, preserving eggs, fixing pigment onto outdoor murals so it wouldn't wash away. Some of those murals are still around today. British chemist Thomas Graham studied how it formed colloidal suspensions with real binding strength. But its biggest job, the one that's kept it alive industrially for a century, was in foundries. Metal casting needs molds that survive molten steel at over 2,500 degrees. Sand mixed with sodium silicate, then exposed to CO2 gas, sets into a rigid, heat-tolerant mold in under a minute. No baking, no waiting. That process cast engine blocks and industrial parts through most of the 20th century, and it's still used today. There's also a genuinely fascinating side note here. A French materials scientist named Joseph Davidovits proposed decades ago that the ancient Egyptians may have used an early geopolymer chemistry, not this exact reaction, but a related one, to cast some of the pyramid's limestone blocks rather than quarry them. It's a real published hypothesis, and some lab analysis has supported unusual mineral signatures in certain samples. It's not accepted as settled fact by most archaeologists, but it's a genuinely interesting thread in the history of ancient people understood chemistry before chemistry existed. Here's the actual mechanism, and it's satisfying once you see it. Sand is mostly silicon dioxide. Sodium silicate is silica dissolved in an alkaline solution. When you introduce CO2, it reacts with the sodium, releasing silicic acid, which polymerizes almost instantly. Silicon and oxygen atoms link into chains that thread between every grain of sand. As the remaining water evaporates, those chains lock into a rigid, glassy matrix. It's not a coating sitting on top of the sand. It's the sand grains fused together from the inside, the same basic principle behind foundry-grade molds and behind modern geopolymer concrete research, which uses sodium silicate as its main activator. So why isn't this sold next to the Quikrete? Mostly because it isn't actually a substitute for concrete, and it's worth being honest about that up front. Sand and silicate blocks are brittle under tension and don't perform anywhere near structural concrete when it comes to bending or load-bearing stress. That's not a suppressed fact, it's just physics. What it is good for is smaller, non-structural jobs. Fast mold making, casting decorative stone-like objects, sealing porous surfaces, garden edging, or fireproofing small components, since the silica matrix tolerates far higher heat than a Portland cement paste before it degrades. It's cheap because the raw materials, sand and alkali, are about as abundant as anything on Earth, and the chemistry has been public domain since the 1800s. There's no patent to build a product line around, which is a real reason it never got a marketing budget the way modern construction and mixtures did. That's a mundane, believable explanation, not a hidden conspiracy. Foundries still run on this process today, ceramicists use it, and hobbyists use it for small-scale casting projects. Researchers studying geopolymer chemistry, using sodium silicate as an activator, have documented it as a genuinely promising lower carbon alternative in certain concrete formulations, though usually alongside proper aggregate and reinforcement, not as sand alone. If you want to try this yourself for a small project, mold making, a garden object, something decorative and non-structural, here's the basic process. You'll need liquid sodium silicate, sold at pottery suppliers or online chemical suppliers, a few dollars for a quart, clean silica sand, pool filter sand or play sand rinsed of Dustworks, and a source of CO2, which can be a small compressed CO2 canister from a home brew supply store, or even a slow feed from baking soda and vinegar in a sealed container. Mix roughly 4 parts, sand to 1 part sodium silicate by weight, until you get a texture like damp sand, cohesive but not runny. Pack it firmly into your mold, pressing out air pockets as you go, since density is what gives it strength. Then introduce the CO2. Either flow it through the packed mold for 30 to 60 seconds, or seal the whole mold in a bag with the gas for a couple of minutes. You'll often see the surface darken slightly as the reaction runs. Let it sit 5 minutes before removing the form, then let it finish curing over the next day as residual moisture evaporates. A few honest limitations. This isn't a structural or load-bearing material, so don't use it anywhere that needs to resist bending, flexing, or serious dynamic load. That's still a job for reinforced concrete. Clay-heavy sand will interfere with the reaction, so stick to clean silica sand. It doesn't bond well to wet surfaces without prep, and if it's going to sit outside in heavy rain long term, a diluted sodium silicate topcoat helps protect the surface over years. Used within those limits, small molds, decorative casting, sealing, non-structural projects, it's a genuinely useful, century-old piece of chemistry that most people have simply never been introduced to. It's not that anyone buried this on purpose. It's that some of the most useful chemistry in the world just isn't glamorous enough to get a marketing budget, so it survives quietly in foundries and workshops instead of hardware store shelves. Worth knowing it's there, especially the next time a small project doesn't need a full bag of concrete to solve it. Hidden Fix Lab.